Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're finally here with our updated complete guide for Jhin. This one has been some time in the making. I of course promised it to you guys when we tried out both Stormraiser and Collector in the same build, but today we're gonna come up with the energized build. So before we get into it, as usual, as you can see now in the cards above, check out Jhin's basic guide for his skills, serving order tips and tricks, as well as a couple of combos. But with all that out of the way, now let's hop into the video proper. So here, first we have the loadout. So loadout is pretty straightforward. This is kind of the old school Jhin build that you used to go back in the day when Stormraiser was a broken item and every ADC went for it for his item. Jhin always makes good use of Stormraiser, even before this buff to be honest, but just the Collector was generally better. So first off, your boots, you have two options. So first off, you have Gluttonous Greaves. For AD and Omnivamp, this is my preferred option because you don't have any Bloodthirster in your build and you don't really have lifesteal. You have Fleet for some healing and Bloodline later on as well, but I think that this Jhin build could use a little bit of lifesteal, so I like to go for the Gluttonous Greaves. You can also go for Lethality Boots if that's what you prefer, because Jhin is a very strong early game champion, and as such, having early game Lethality could, not could, but would, be really good as well. So first item, Stormraiser, is going to give you a decent amount of stats. The attack speed going to be converted to AD from Jhin's passive. You do get the energized passive that deals the bonus damage, as well as giving you the slow and giving you the slow to slow them and speeding yourself up, of course, for that movement speed differential. But yeah, really strong first item, which is going to combo, of course, with Magnetic Blaster, which is the second item, which is going to be able to allow you to apply this slow to a number of targets because of the static shift passive, as well as the extra range. So again, attack speed is going to be converted into AD. So then we go for Infinity Edge, huge amount of AD as well as that bonus crit damage, and of course we have more Reminder for the Armor Pen and the Grievous Wounds. Last item is optional. You can go for defensive items such as Maw. For example, GA, Steroids Gauge, things like that. You can even go for Bloodthirster as the last item. This is a huge stat stake and giving yourself healing. For the runes, Fleet Footwork is basically the only way to go. Arcane Comet is horrible. I've tried it out for quite a number of matches. I was thinking of making a video on Arcane Comet, but it really is so horrible that I feel guilty if I make a video about it, because it's horrible. You should never go for Arcane Comet. First Strike is your other option, but again, Fleet Footwork is just superior for the movement speed, for the healing, and just for the early game power in general. First Strike is just not Jhin's playstyle. So this one, of course, it gives you the bonus attack speed, which is going to be converted into attack damage for Jhin. You do get the health restore and the bonus movement speed. Again, it's very, very helpful in lane for your sustain, and also just in the later stages of the game for the movement speed, just to get around, to run away, to run people down, things like that. Now here I take Brutal. I've always said that there's really never a good option for Jhin, because Jhin auto-attacks so little that Brutal doesn't really give you a lot of benefit, but at the same time, Triumph doesn't really give you a lot of benefit as well, unless you're literally killing people non-stop, which you can never guarantee when you're in the rune selection phase. And then Gathering Storm gives you very, very little AD, although it is consistent in that sense, but it's more of an AP kind of option. Gathering Storm for AD champions are generally not very good, so I still end up going for Brutal just because Jhin is strong in the early game, and just that little bit of extra damage in the early game can make a difference, although in the grand scheme of the game it doesn't really make a very big difference compared to other ADCs. So here, Jhin sucks at fighting tanks, so Giant Slayer is good to kind of cover up the weakness a little bit, but in general, if you play Jhin into a squishy team, then Coup de Grace is better. As I said, I like to go for Bloodline here for the lifesteal, because you're lacking a lot of healing in this build without Bloodthirster. But you can of course go for Alacrity as well, which is going to give you AD, because attack speed gets converted into AD for Jhin. And finally, we have Bone Plating for the defensive capabilities. And we have Flash as well as Ghost for our summoner spells. Ghost, of course, really good for Jhin to kite in and out of fights. Movement speed, name of the game for Jhin. You can also, of course, opt for Exhaust if there's a lot of assassins, or if you prefer Exhaust as a playstyle. But with all that said, let's move on to talking about Jhin's gameplay. Okay, so now let's take a look at the gameplay itself before we really dive in. Of course, as usual, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will, of course, be sure to address them. So we're rocking the new ranked Jhin skin, which I honestly think looks kind of horrible, but when you get the Jhin skin, the ranked skin, they put it as your default skin for some reason, and I didn't change it. So yeah, here we go. We have the default. Not default, but we have the ranked Jhin skin. So we got a couple of things to cover. Firstly is Jin's like role and what Jhin does, because I find that this is a very common misconception among Jhin players, which is that Jhin like sucks at dealing with tanks. He can really only deal with squishies, and he can't really deal with tanks. So you never want to pick Jhin if you're facing like 2 or 3 tanky champions on the enemy team. That is just asking for trouble. Already I wouldn't say never, but it's discouraged, right? So here, before we talk too much about that topic, we're gonna see what's happening here. So what's happening here is Kindred is trying to invade, and Senna spotted out. She pings it, and I'm following her on the protect of the blue buff. So here we're defending our blue buff. Xin Zhao is actually coming straight from red to help us out. Lovely rotation by our jungler, and now we're in a 3v3 bot lane and jungle 3v3. We're winning it, and Kindred and Kai'Sa both are 1 HP. I get the first blood onto the Kindred. I try to blind snipe the Kai'Sa, but she goes in another direction than what I was expecting. And we eventually get the kill on the Zyra as well. I 4th shot onto the Kai'Sa, but she survives because of the fruit. And we can see Syndra is, of course, having priority against Yasuo and rotating, which is normal, because obviously Yasuo is melee and Syndra's range, so Syndra should always have priority. So here I actually get the minion dematerializer. I'm able to proc that to remove 1 minion and finish off 1 minion before Syndra is able to rotate and catch me out. So here I'm trying to get a reset, of course, escaping from the Syndra, and I'm able to actually get the shove all the way, or rather I should say get the crash all the way into the tower. So overall, in the grand scheme of things, we traded 1 for 2, so in the end it's a good thing. We managed to kill both the Kindred and the Zyra as well, so that was pretty good. And here we see Kindred with a mark on the skull. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna stop her, and me and Senna together take her down again. She respawns just to die, and this is one of the reasons why Kindred is a very hard jungler to play, because if the enemy team actually works together and makes an effort to stop you from getting your marks, it's really, really difficult to play Kindred, because Kindred kind of needs 4 marks to really get that first range increase and function, whether be it from camps or be it from kills. Of course, kills is one thing, but camps is very easily defended. So what we can do is we can stop her. Now, firstly, the invade. Now, invade is nothing to do with Kindred, it's just a normal jungle thing. But we can see the mark spawn on the skull, and we are in a position that we have the priority to rotate, because Jhin and Senna has very good wave clear, unlike Kai'Sa and Zyra, who has good wave clear but a little bit worse than Jhin and Senna. So because of that, we are able to rotate, and they're kind of stuck in the lane clearing the minions, also based on the previous push, and we are able to rotate over and basically not just stop her from getting the skull crab, but we even get a kill on her based off of Senna hitting her skills and I hitting my skills as well. And we got a lovely start to the game. So you will see me and Senna especially, we have an understanding that we gotta stop Kindred from getting marked. So you will see us throughout the whole game actively trying to stop Kindred from getting marks. And if you're the enemy Kindred, that is going to make your life miserable, because you're not going to be able to get marks easily. You're going to have to fight for marks, and yeah, it's just not going to be very fun playing Kindred. So back to my original point a couple minutes ago about Jhin. So Jhin is horrible against tanks. So you see the Ornn on the enemy team there. It's not my job to deal with the Ornn. Like, I am the ADC. Generally, the ADC's job is to kill whoever is in front and DPS. That includes the Ornn. Here we get into another fight. And again, Kindred is flashing in for some reason. Takes a chunk of damage, and I'm just, reloading here. I pop the ulti, trying to snipe out the Kindred, missing my first 2 shots. I hit the 3rd shot on the Kindred and the 4th shot onto the Zyra for the burst onto her. And my team is winning the fight. We are getting off all our DPS. We flash forward. Xin Zhao finishes all of the kills. Kai'Sa has nowhere to go, and unfortunately, Xin Zhao picks up another kill. Although, I'm happy with it. I'm 3-0-3. We do want our Xin Zhao to get some kills as well. It's a very strong early game jungler. So, as I was saying, it's not really my job to actually kill the Ornn, because Jhin cannot kill tanks, right? He sucks at killing tanks. He only has 4 bullets, and the only way Jhin kills tanks is if you're insanely fed. If you're even or you're behind, there's no way you're gonna kill tanks. You're gonna do, like, not negligible, but you're gonna do not enough damage to tanks to kill them in a reasonable amount of time. So Jin's real strength is, number 1, wave clear. Jhin has insane wave clear. Number 2, he has insane range and pick potential with his W and with his ult. And number 3, he bursts down squishies incredibly easily. Now, of course, if you're ahead, you obviously are going to burst them down even easier. But even if you're even, you can burst down squishies pretty easily, especially if they don't know your damage. So here Yasuo is actually in my lane. So I'm gonna rotate over to mid, because common mistake in terms of macro is if your mid laner is in your lane, like just helping out, or in this case he was helping out there and then he decided to clear some waves. So mid is undefended, so no reason to go top and share gold and XP among 3 people. Instead you go to the empty lane, which in this case is mid, and then we can eventually swap back. Like here you can see there's a dragon up, so what we're doing is we're probably going to take the objective and then swap back to our lanes, but we actually spawned an opportunity to try to get a pick on Kai'Sa. Now here I'm not sure why Kai'Sa didn't just run. She had an opportunity to actually run away, but she decided to instead actually pick a fight 2v3. So that was a really weird decision by Kai'Sa. If I was her, I would take the opportunity where the Zyra out hit to just run. Here's some very nice footwork by me to avoid the Syndra stun. Syndra actually gets saved by the Kindred ult, but eventually does die. Kindred now puts herself in danger, and now she dies as well. I'm keeping the dragon leashed so that we can actually pick up the dragon. And we pick up the first dragon of the game. Now the mimics are actually up. So with both junglers dying in that fight, it's likely that there's going to be another fight at the mimics this time. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to quickly push in this wave. Maybe we can consider rotating to the mimics, but most likely not. As you know, ADCs generally don't do the rotating to the mimics unless everybody rotates there. So here with the bot lane still stuck here, we're going to kind of stay in the lane. And here you can see Kindred has a mark on the Gromp. So here you see I'm pinging to go for Gromp, and me and Senna are actively taking the Gromp to prevent Kindred from getting it. So obviously you could say you're stealing farm from Xin Zhao, but if you take a look at the situation here, Xin Zhao has just cleared his red side. He's obviously going to be going to the objective next, so he's not going to actually come up here to farm. So it's actually very dangerous to leave it up, because that could lead to Kindred coming in to get the mark. Of course, now we can see Kindred is also at the objective, so that's unlikely. But you know, you never want to give her that option. So here, I was actually considering rotating over to the fight. And I'm still kind of considering it, so I actually end up just walking mid. And here we run into Zyra, but fortunately we actually walk away before she hits her ult on us. And here I decide to eventually just join the fight. And here you can see I can turn the fight because I'm very, very fat and I'm against the squishy targets. So they're all really, really low. So I'm going to pop ulti here. First snipe onto the Kindred, second hit onto Syndra, third hit kills Syndra, and the fourth shot unfortunately cannot hit Kai'Sa because she's out of range, but my teammate cleans it up. And we're able to kill all 3 of them, although unfortunately we did lose first tower because the enemy team did get the mimics. I'm trying to stop Ornn from escaping with the root here. Zyra is, of course, the squishier target and the easier to kill target. I believe we can get up a 5-man dive here if we get the wave pushed in, so long as we coordinate a little bit. Now, Senna actually hits the CC beforehand, and Xin Zhao just straight up goes in for the dive without the minions, and we eventually kill both of them under tower as a 5-man unit. Now, this is kind of a pretty dream match, I'm not gonna lie, where my whole team is kind of, I wouldn't say my whole team is doing well, but I would say that my whole team is coordinating well, like coordinating to get rid of the Kindred marks, coordinating this dive, things like that. Strictly speaking, my Vladimir is losing by like 1k to Ornn. Xin Zhao is fed in terms of KDA, but in terms of actual goal, he's actually on par with the Kindred, so he's not even actually ahead of the Kindred. Of course, we have Yasuo who's 1k gold ahead, and I'm really, really far ahead of Kai'Sa. I'm like 2k plus gold ahead of the Kai'Sa, because I'm 7-0 and 8. And Senna has a small goal lead against the Zyra as well. So it's not like we're stomping them. It kind of looks like we're stomping them based on the 16-6 kill scoreline. But if you take a look at the overall goal, we're actually only 2k gold ahead, which is actually pretty surprising to me because I actually, honestly, when I was playing the game, I wasn't actively checking the goal difference, but I felt that we were very far ahead. But I mean, I'm 7-0 and 8, so I am very far ahead, but my team clearly is not. So here we get a pick onto the Zyra, and we're gonna get a second pick onto the Ornn. You know, Ornn cannot survive like 5 people. Unfortunately, I do have to blow my flash to get the kill on him because he was escaping. And now I'm not sure why Syndra is stepping up. She gets hit by the Senna CC and then slowed and then just basically run down. I guess she did get the trade kill onto Xin Zhao. But if I was her, would I do that? I don't think that's worth it. So here you can see like 1 auto, 2 auto. I'm trying to get my 4th shot ready, Q, 4th shot, and Kindred dies, right? Basically, I just need to unload a clip onto her of 4 shots, and she dies. Of course, I use my 3rd shot on the tower to get to my 4th shot, but I have my Q on hand to just Q 4th shot. Kai'Sa gets caught, and Kai'Sa dies. So first it was Syndra, then it was Kindred, then it was Kai'Sa, now it's Ornn and Zyra getting caught. Zyra gets rooted by me, she dies, Ornn dies as well. Now enemy team is just making the mistake of literally going in one by one. Now here you can see Syndra is trying to chase. I know she doesn't have ult because I just saw her use it, so I actually stepped back and actually bait her in, and Jhin and my ult can now finish the kill. Because I know she can't kill me with her ult, she is really, really far behind. And as long as I space correctly, I should be fine, which I absolutely was. Next dragon's coming up like right now, however I do need to reset to get my health back, and I also complete my third item IE. Now at this point is where I look at the scoreboard, I realize I'm 12, 0, and 11 with basically nearly full KP. I only missed out on like 1 KP at this point in the game, which is completely insane. I'm having an insane dream, like Jhin game. It's just going amazingly well so far. But I'm gonna give you guys a small spoiler at this point, which is that the game doesn't go so smooth a little bit later on. Now one of Jin's problems is he doesn't really scale the best. I wouldn't say he's a bad scaler, but compared to Kai'Sa or other scaling champions like Zeri or Jinx, you know, Jhin doesn't really scale very well. You know, it's Kai'Sa that outscales Jhin by a fair margin. So we definitely don't want to really get to the late game. And of course, as I was alluding to, you know, we have some interesting events that will happen a little bit later on. That will lead to, you know, a little bit more of a fun game and not so one-sided. So here Ornn is ulting. My team is trying to pick a fight here. I'm kind of a little bit out of position to really help in the fight. Now Syndra has already ulted, so and Zyra as well. So 2 big threats gone. I'm repositioning to the safety of behind my team. We finish off Ornn. Kai'Sa ults in. We finish off Kai'Sa. We root down the Syndra, make sure she can't escape. She pops the Zhonya's, but she's not gonna escape. We finish the Kindred, and then we finish the Syndra as well. And we basically wiped the whole enemy team with the exception of the Zyra, who was in the blue buff pit just now and decided to just bail on her team. So here I'm trying to actually translate my lead to getting a tower, an inhib tower in particular. But Zyra's wave clear is just a little bit too strong. I'm not sure if I made a mistake here by not diving the Zyra right here, because I was thinking I just ignore the Zyra, I focus the tower, but Zyra actually just wave clears all of the minions, and I'm trying to get the mid tower instead. But I realized that the whole enemy team is now respawning, and I don't have the time to actually get the tower, so I think I maybe should have, instead of focusing the tower, focused the Zyra there, kill her, and then get like 1 tower. But now we have mid lane tower very, very low, and half health on the bot lane tower. Of course, top lane tower, the tier 1 is still up. We haven't even focused on top lane at all. Huge top lane wave is accumulating right now. And now, at this point, I'm going to grab the red buff and then reset. I actually pick up a stasis, and the reason why I pick up a stasis is because I don't think QSS is very useful this game. I mean, the only thing I can really QSS is an incoming or an ult, or if I stand too close to the wall and I, you know, predictively QSS or an E or on ult. But the only thing I can actually QSS is Zyra's like root or Zyra's ult is pretty easy to QSS. So I'm thinking at some point I'm gonna probably be low at some point. Alright, before we talk about that, here is where we screw up, right? So here I was just thinking that, you know, there's no way we lose the fight, right? We're so fat. So I literally just I ghost into Zyra's ult and just face tank Zyra's ult. But that allows me to get chain CC'd by Ornn, and Kai'Sa ults in and kills me. Now the main problem is Kai'Sa ulting in and killing me. Without Kai'Sa ulting in, I would be fine. But I kind of forgot that, you know, I'm against like a Kai'Sa who can just ult in from like out of my screen and just kill me. So I make a big mistake there. And I unfortunately, with that, from 15-0 and 12, I'm now 15-1 and 12, and I give a 1k gold shutdown to Kai'Sa, which is the one person I don't want to give the shutdown to. I mean, arguably there's no real good target to give the shutdown to on the enemy team, but I definitely don't want to give it to the Kai'Sa, right? So that's not very good. Yeah, so kind of digressed from my original point there, because we had to kind of point out the the mistakes that were made, which is going to lead to the game being difficult. And this is really the turning point of the game, where the game goes from a one-sided stomp up to this point to the game actually becoming a little bit difficult. But again, here we're going to go ahead and deny this this mark here, prevent Kindred from getting them marks. But now back to my original point I wanted to make on the stasis, which is that QSS is not very useful, right? As we have established. However, Stasis could be very useful because I could get one comboed by Zyra, or more likely is I could get bursted down by Kai'Sa or ulted by Syndra. Especially the Syndra ult, one of the biggest counters to Syndra ult is the Stasis, so I'm thinking at some point in the match I'm probably going to need that Stasis, so I'm picking up that Stasis here, as we also pick up another pick onto Zyra, and then now we're going to pick another pick onto the Syndra. I mean, honestly, my W's this game has just been kind of insane. I rarely say that I hit insane W's, but I have honestly hit so many insane W's this game that we've gotten so many free picks just from all of those routes. So here are the final dragon before Elder is coming up, and it's going to be an Ocean Dragon, which is also going to be Ice Dragon Soul for my team. So here I'm pinging for somebody to go stop the Ord, because Ord is just split pushing and we can't allow that to happen, because that's going to give enemy team a lot of free gold through the objective bounty. We don't want that. So here we secure the Ice Soul. Ornn decides to walk straight into us, so I'm just gonna auto-root him. And then here, Senna roots him as well. Now I realize I'm mispositioning because I'm standing right at the wall where Ornn is gonna E me, so I actually managed to reposition to the other side in time before he's able to actually E me, and he decides to E my teammates instead, so thankfully I survived. Now here I knew the enemy team was doing Baron. I'm actually pinging danger on Baron because I know enemy team is probably doing Baron. But I want to actually reset because I know it's too late to stop them from getting Baron. But I want to reset and get my more reminder. I'm pinging my team not to fight, but of course you know it's solo queue and you can't control your teammates, so my teammates decide to fight anyway. Now thankfully we are still very far ahead, and Ornn is also dead. So we are able to get kills onto Kindred as well as Kai'Sa, leaving only Zyra and Syndra alive. So here I'm thinking, you know, it's 3v2, we might be able to actually end the game here. So here I'm following my team down mid, we have a wave pushing in. However, the T-Hex ult is able to basically insta-clear the wave. Now I'm stuck in a really awkward position. I stasis because I thought Syndra was going to ult me. On the replay tool you can see she doesn't actually have ult, but of course in the real game itself we wouldn't really know that. Now Ornn hits the ult again. I'm going to have to ghost out of the way and take this really weird route to prevent myself from getting hit. Now, the Yasuo is just going all the way in, and I'm not gonna go back there to help him because I'm not sure what I can do for him here. But instead, I'm going to, I'm gonna just go over here and just farm up a little bit while I'm just waiting for my teammates to really respawn. We need to defend the mid lane, and here Xin Zhao is picking up the red buff. Now we're gonna go and defend mid lane. Xin Zhao just runs straight into the enemy team, which I think is really questionable. And he obviously just dies. So I think this is one of those like syndromes where you are very far ahead and you think you can just go in whenever you want, but in reality that's not the case anymore. Thankfully, I'm able to get a snipe onto Syndra with the ulti, and I'm trying to blast the TX down because that's going to remove the Baron minions. But I'm really scared to walk forward because I'm going to like get CC'd by Ornn. So here I finally am able to walk forward and get rid of the T-Hex. However, very surprisingly to me at least, Zyra just one-shots me, which I didn't think she would do that much damage, which is why I wasn't actually that scared of her, but turns out she just one-shots me, so turns out Zyra is a problem. So anyway, thankfully my Yasuo respawns and he is on the hunt for some kills. He's trying to find the Zyra, dashes on top of her, kills her, dashes into the Kai'Sa. Now I thought he should just auto the Kai'Sa there, but he decides to instead go for the Ornn, ulti the Ornn, and Kai'Sa is still alive. Now it's a duel between them, and Winwall is of course winning. But now we're gonna pan over to the Xin Zhao versus Kindred fight, where of course Kindred already popped the ult previously, so she doesn't have ult, and we handily kill her. So here, as I said, the game is pretty challenging right now because you know Kai'Sa has basically scaled. She has an ugly KDA, but if you take a look at her goal, she has like 4 completed items, including GA. And she's actually a problem right now. As we just saw, Zyra is also a problem. She one-shots me. And Elder is now up. So Elder is, of course, where the next fight is going to be. We take care of the waves, and we clear top, and we clear bot wave, at least enough for us to be able to come over to the Elder to go for it. And then we, you know, put a ward over. Now, we know that Kai'Sa is there. We know Syndra is mid. We don't know where Kindred is. But we are able to secure the Elder before anyone even comes to contest. And very fortuitously for us, the Baron is now actually spawning, so we can go to Baron and get Baron. Probably with Baron and Elder we can end the game. Either that or the enemy team contests us at Baron and dies. Here I think Zyra and Ornn are a tad overextended. However, Syndra is here as well. Syndra actually ults Xin Zhao instead of me. Of course, Xin Zhao does have the smite for the Baron. Here we root Ornn, and as a 3-man unit we finish off the Ornn. Now we're chasing down Syndra. I'm trying to pop the ulti, but unfortunately Syndra doesn't run downwards. She actually pops the blast plant and goes over the Baron pit wall. Senna is able to chase her down and get the kill on her, leaving only Kai'Sa and Kindred alive. So obviously now we're gonna go for the Baron. Our jungler is making his way out of base back to help, and you can see top wave is really huge. So I'm pinging top wave because there is a world where the enemy team tries to end top. So I'm pinging somebody to deal with the top wave. Somebody has to pick up the T-Hex as well. So Yasuo is going to deal with the top wave, and Senna is going to actually pick up the T-Hex. And here, the rest of us are just pushing. However, we don't have the Baron minions. We only have Elder. We need to wait for the T-Hex, and we need to wait for the Baron minions. So in the meantime, I'm just trying to take down the inhib, which we do. And Kindred makes a mistake, walks up too far. And we also one-shot Kai'Sa, putting her into the GA. And here I'm really confident we can just end the game, so we're all just kind of hovering around. And here we clear out some minions. Here, just look at how much damage to do to Syndra. Look at the stasis, by the way, that saved my own life. Kai'Sa mistimes the W, thankfully for me. And here I'm just going to pop the ult. Kai'Sa dies, we finish off the Syndra, and Ornn goes down as well. Now Zyra is back up. And we know her wave clear was pretty whack just from just now, so now we're being very careful. We're clearing out the minions. And then here I 4-shot onto the Nexus, I walk back to reload, clear out the minions. Yasuo dies to the tower or Zyra, I'm not too sure. And here we finally get the dub with the shots into the Nexus. So the start are pretty stompy, but turned out to be pretty competitive at the end stretch. So I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.